And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, I'm Tom Vasel, and today we're taking a look at a game, Hotshots. This game from Fireside Games. Guess that's ironic. Hotshots is a cooperative wildfire fighting game. This is kind of close to home at this point, right? This is something that California and other states out in the West have to deal with a lot. And this game, you are doing a good job. You are helping other people, heroic firefighters, to go in there and stop these fires from just consuming everything. That's the whole point of this game. Let's see how it plays. So players are going to build a board here, randomly made up of different tiles. They're going to be placed in various places. I have the base camp here at the middle, but it really could be anywhere. Some of the tiles are going to start on fire as indicated by a marker on them. Each player is going to pick one of the four characters, the Sawyer, the Swamper, the Spotter, or the Crew Boss. They're going to take their character and place it on this spot here. Now the goal of this game is to put the fire out. The bad goal of the game, the thing you don't want to happen, is to have a place burn up. We'll turn it over like this, and if you have a certain number of them go bad, well then you've lost the game. So on a player's turn, they can move up to 2 spaces. So I can move 1, 2, 1, 2. You can't move through fire, though. You can move into fire and stop. You can move out of fire, but you can't move through it. After you're done moving, if you move onto this spot here, you can use one of these vehicles. These vehicles here are one-time use vehicles that you can basically use to get rid of a lot of the fire. So for example, you can use the air tanker to get rid of 3 fire. So I might use the air tanker to go 1, 2, 3 that are next to each other in a, that are adjacent in a straight line or a curved line. A helicopter, I can just pick 3 from one tile and get rid of them. And the brush rig, I can spray water and I can put 3 fire breaks out on the board to stop the fire from going through those. Now that's if you use these in their one-time uses. Otherwise, you're going to fight fire. So let's say I go to this spot here. I look at the bottom and there's different types of things that I'm going to need to fight fire with. So here I have some hoses, I have some McLeods, which is kind of a mix between a rake and a hoe, and then I got some shovels. So I'm going to take the dice here, and I need 2 of each of those, and so I'm going to roll. Did I match anything? Well, I got 1 hose, and I got 2 shovels. So that's 3. Now I could stop here, or I can keep rolling, but every time you roll, you have to match at least 1 die. So I say I'm going to push my luck a little bit here. I roll again, and here I failed. This causes a blow up. So that means none of my dice count. I would add a flame token to where I'm at, and we go to the next phase. Now let's pretend that didn't happen. And instead I rolled these 2. That's what I need. 5 out of 6. I'm a little nervous. I could re-roll this die, but I would need to roll a hose exactly. So I think I'm going to stop at 5. If you match 3 dice, like my initial roll, then you basically can take a fire break token and put it next to the tile. That's going to keep flame from going across that one specific spot most of the time. If you match 4 dice, you can get rid of 1. If you match 5 like I did, you get rid of 2. And you can either place a fire break token or you can take a reward token. These reward tokens, you get them and they'll give you, like this gives me extra movement. This lets me turn 1 symbol into 2. Different things that you can do and keep those as the game goes by. If you match all 6 dice, you can get rid of 3 flame tokens and you get a reward token and you get a fire break. But as you can see, that's pretty difficult. So after you're done fighting the fire, whether you succeed or not, we'll turn over the top fire card. This will show if there's a fire with 2 on it that's burning, it will add 1 there. If there's a fire with 5 on it that's burning, we'll add 1 there. Well, there's definitely a 5, so we as a group choose to that one. Or maybe the card will say pick a 5 and add 2 to it. Or maybe the card will say fire starts in this specific spot. Embers will land there. Or sometimes there's a wind change. There's a wind thing here, and it will point this way. The reason wind matters is because there's lots of cards with light and heavy breezes, which will push fire from all the fires that are out there already in different directions. And that's pretty much it. The fire is just going to keep coming, and you need to fight it and put it out. Some of the tiles on the board will help. This one here gives you an extra re-roll to all the spots that are next to the lake. This one here causes all the spots next. If this one blows up, it's going to hit everything next to it with fire. And there's a few other special things on tiles, like this one here, for example. The two flying vehicles can't go here. Each player also has a special ability, like the crew boss can move somebody else. This guy can use axes as chainsaws and vice versa. He can use McLeods as shovels and vice versa. And this guy, when he draws fire cards, draws two and picks which one will come out next. So players are just going to keep fighting and fighting. Again, if 8 tiles are scorched and turned over, you lose the game. Each player also has their home place. Like this guy here has the lookout tower. And if this lookout tower, it shows his icon on it, is ever scorched, then he loses his special ability. Anyway, if 8 tiles become scorched, you lose. Or if your main base becomes scorched, you lose. Otherwise, putting out the fire wins you the game. You can also, as the book shows, use other terrain layouts if you want to. Okay, so now Hotshots. Again, I really like the theme of this game, putting out fires. There's not a lot of games about putting out fires. The biggest one that people are going to talk about is Flashpoint Fire Rescue, which is one of my favorite games. And I do like Flashpoint Fire Rescue better than Hotshots for a couple reasons. One, I think Flashpoint Fire Rescue gives you multiple things that you're doing. You are putting out a fire and rescuing people from a house. In fact, rescuing the people is more important. Putting out the fire is secondary. In Hotshots, you are putting out the fire. There's nothing else involved. And there's a few other things. But I don't really want to make this video a comparison video between the two. I just want to look at this one on its own. This is the second, well, not the second, but this is the second, I guess, big cooperative game that Fireside Games has done. They're best known for Castle Panic and the itinerations of Castle Panic that they've done. Castle Panic is an easy-ish cooperative game. It gets more difficult when you add in their expansions, but going into it, it's made to play with families and kids. You can beat it. Hotshots is hard. I mean, like, mind-blowingly hard. Now, as you play it, you will learn, oh, this is what we should do. Putting out those ditches on the side, the fire breaks, that's critical. But the first time most people play, they're going to get blown away in this game because there's going to be fire. They'll go over here, put out fires, and fires are going to spread like crazy. And this game, even if you play well, you could still have bad dice rolling. And so there's ways to make it easier in the rule book. I would definitely, this is one of those times where I think, especially considering who they're selling this to, like this is definitely aimed at families and people walking in like, well, that looks like a fun game. I would have made the game easier and then had ways to make it harder in the book. As it is, it starts out really hard. It uses a Yahtzee-style mechanism. Yahtzee might be, maybe there's games like Greed where you're basically rolling, and if you fail on a roll, you can't go again. Now, the game has ways around that. If you are on a spot with another firefighter, when you roll and you mess up, you can re-roll the die again. That mess up doesn't count against you for each firefighter you're with. So that encourages you to work in teams. There's also other ways to get that extra roll. But sometimes the rolls just don't go your way. So that's fine. And then the tokens you get, sometimes you go somewhere. I mean, it is basically a push your luck cooperative game. How far do I want? You get 6 of the same kind, you're doing really well. To the point where sometimes I think this game almost pushes you to go for broke because playing safe isn't playing well. When you play safe in this game and you roll some dice, and you're like, oh, I got 4, I can get rid of a flame. Well, big deal. The next card is likely going to bring out 2 to 6 flames. Getting rid of 1 isn't going to really help everybody else out. The special abilities were, they're okay. The flame tokens are really neat. The background is cool. The whole thing looks really good on the table. It doesn't take up a lot of real estate. And in fact, this box, when compared to many of the games behind me, is really quite small. I like Hotshots. I don't think it's great. I think it's kind of a one-note thing. Put the fire out by rolling dice. And occasionally use a special ability. Occasionally get a cool token. And how the board is set up is going to be, make the game different. But I think games are going to feel samey after a while. But at the same time, I don't dislike it. I think it is a fun game. There's like I said, it's a noble thing to make a game about. Everyone is definitely working together. But there's that one point where you're the person rolling the dice. And you have to decide, are you going to roll them again? Or are you going to stop and just put out the fire that way? Definitely take some smarts. Will take you a couple times to learn how to play the game well. Certainly a unique theme. I don't know any other game out there about fighting wildfire outside, but I'm glad that one exists now. That's Hotshots. Dice Tower Judgment approved.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at DicetowerNetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.